Okay, so you had a whole conversation. Both of you walked away thinking it was handled. And then a week later, somebody's like, wait, I thought you were doing that. And you're like, no, I thought you were doing that. Classic miscommunication. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody lied. Everybody was paying attention. That's just how most miscommunication happens. Not some big argument. It happens in the moments that feel totally fine. You both just fill in the blanks with your own conversation and keep it moving. This is exactly what this worksheet is for. It stops the miscommunication before it turns into a whole second conversation you didn't really need to have. So let's just fill it in. This is the SYNC Conversation Worksheet. You use it during or right after a conversation where something felt a little off. Not a big blow up or anything like that. Just that feeling of, wait, are we actually on the same page here? You know that feeling, right? Like when you leave a conversation and something's just sitting weird? It's 4 rows, one for each step of sync. Fill it in, and you can see exactly where things slipped. So here's what I'm using. Me and my partner planning a weekend trip. Well, actually, let me back up. It's not even that we planned it wrong. It's that we both walked away thinking we planned it. Conversation felt fine. We both left thinking the other one had the logistics handled. Then a week goes by and, yep, neither of us did anything because we both thought the other one was on it. First thing at the top is just the context. Who or what is this even about? I'm putting weekend trip planning with my partner. That's it. Just so you remember what you're working through when you come back to this. Then it gets into where alignment feels off. 1 row per step. S, surface meaning. What feels unclear or assumed? I'm putting, I really assumed we both knew what we were handling. Never actually said it out loud. This is the row people skip because it's internal. You're not asking anybody anything yet. You're just being honest with yourself first. What did I assume that I never actually confirmed? Because that's usually where it starts. Not with what got said, with what never did. Why? Yield space. What I need to listen for. I'm putting, I need to hear what they thought we agreed on before I explain what I thought. When you get your wires crossed, your instinct is to explain your version first, right? But until you actually hear what they understood, you're just talking past each other. Ask one question first. Something like, what did you take away from our last conversation about the trip? And then actually listen. N, name alignment. What needs to be stated? I'm putting who's booking the hotel, who's driving, and what the dates are. This is the role where you stop implying stuff and just say it. You just say the thing that's been assumed out loud so nobody's guessing. Something like, okay, so far it sounds like you're thinking the drive and I'm thinking the hotel. Is that how you see it too? And C, confirm next steps. What must be decided or owned? I'm putting hotels mine, due Thursday, routes theirs, due Friday. We check in with each other by the end of the week. This is the part almost everyone skips. You say the thing, but nobody actually locks it in. And then the week goes by and nothing happened because you both thought the other person had it. Decide the step, assign the owner, and set the time. Then it asks for the reset question. This is what you'd actually say to open things back up. I'm putting, hey, before we move on, can we just confirm who's handling what so we're not both assuming the other one got it? That's the line you actually say out loud. You don't need to memorize the whole framework. You just need one question that opens the door. Last part is after the conversation. What changed and what's unclear. I'm going to put, we confirmed who's doing what, no more guessing. What's still unclear, we haven't figured out, but we actually want to see while we're there. So that's going to be our next conversation. Not every conversation wraps up in one round, and that's completely fine. This part just keeps you honest about it. You can see exactly what moved and what's still sitting there waiting on you. All right, here's the whole thing filled in. So, top to bottom, this is planning the weekend trip with my partner. What felt unclear or assumed? I figured we had it handled and never said so. What I needed to listen for? Their version before I explained mine. What got stated? Who's got the hotel? Who's driving? And when? What got decided? Hotel was mine, due Thursday, routes theirs, due Friday. And we check in by the end of the week. The one thing still sitting there is what we actually want to see while we're there. That's the next conversation. One page, one conversation, and nobody's finding out a week later that they were both just guessing. And you can use this for any conversation where something felt a little unfinished. Work stuff where nobody confirmed who owned what. Family planning where everyone walked away with a different version. Anytime you want to catch it before it turns into a whole thing. The steps stay the same. What you fill in each row is just what changes. Communication Refined. I'll link it in the description. It walks you through the full SYNC framework, practice scenarios, and this exact worksheet. So the reset becomes something you just do automatically instead of something you figure out after the fact. All right, what's one conversation you've had recently where both people left thinking they agreed and then it turned out they really didn't? If this was useful, like the video and subscribe. I put stuff like this out every week for people who are done having the same conversation twice. And as always, reflect deeply, grow boldly, and refine endlessly. See you in the next one.